German troops advanced about 30 miles, but they were finally stopped at the river Marne. At the same time, fresh American forces were arriving on the Western Front. The U.S. 1st Division was the first American unit to enter combat at the Battle of Cantigny. Just 3 days later, the U.S. 2nd Division achieved an important victory at the Battle of Belleau Wood. By this point, nearly 1 million American soldiers were in France, and 10,000 more arrived every day. This growing American presence gave the Allies new strength and confidence. The fourth phase of the German offensive resulted in a further advance of about 9 miles, but was finally stopped by a strong French counterattack. Meanwhile, in Italy, Austria-Hungary launched attacks at Asiago and along the Piave River. These attacks were meant to support Ludendorff's offensive in France. However, the Austro-Hungarian forces were repelled with heavy losses, and morale in their army collapsed badly. At the same time, British and French troops landed at Murmansk in northern Russia. This marked the beginning of Allied intervention in the Russian Civil War, where they supported the white anti-Bolshevik forces. Back on the Western Front, Germany's final major attack was defeated during the Second Battle of the Marne. Ludendorff's offensive had cost Germany more than 600,000 casualties, and it failed to achieve a decisive victory. Germany's last gamble had failed. Now it was the Allies' turn to attack. At the Battle of Amiens, British, Australian, Canadian, and French forces advanced 7 miles in a single day, supported by tanks and aircraft. German General Erich Ludendorff later called August 8th the Black Day of the German Army. German soldiers were exhausted, hungry, and demoralized, and many began to surrender in large numbers. The Battle of Amiens marked the beginning of the Allied 100 Days Offensive. Trench warfare was effectively over, and German forces were now in full retreat. In the Balkans, a new Allied offensive broke through Bulgarian defenses at Dobropol. The Bulgarian army, already overstretched, collapsed quickly. Just 2 weeks later, Bulgaria signed an armistice and left the war. In the Middle East, British-led forces defeated the Ottoman Turks at the Battle of Megiddo, capturing 25,000 prisoners. Soon after, Allied troops occupied Damascus and Aleppo, ending Ottoman control in the region. On the Western Front, Marshal Ferdinand Foch ordered a general Allied attack. British, French, and American armies reached and broke through the Hindenburg Line, a powerful system of German defenses. German General Ludendorff informed the Kaiser that the military situation was now hopeless and that Germany had no choice but to seek an armistice. Germany sent a request for peace to U.S. President Woodrow Wilson. In response, Wilson demanded that Germany withdraw from all occupied territories and that the Kaiser abdicate the throne. On the Italian front, the Allies delivered the final blow to Austria-Hungary at the Battle of Vittorio Veneto. The Austro-Hungarian army collapsed completely, and 300,000 soldiers were taken prisoner. With the Central Powers falling apart, the Ottoman Empire also signed an armistice, bringing the war closer to its end. The Ottoman Empire signed an armistice with the Allies at Mudros, bringing fighting in the Middle East to an end. 4 days later, Austria-Hungary also signed an armistice with the Allies at Villa-Giusti, ending the war on the Italian front. In Kiel, Germany, the German High Seas Fleet was ordered to carry out a suicidal attack against the British Navy. Instead of obeying, the sailors mutinied. This mutiny quickly spread, and revolution broke out across Germany. As unrest grew, Kaiser Wilhelm II abdicated the throne. Soon after, the German Republic was proclaimed, marking the end of the German monarchy. On November 11, 1918, a German delegation signed an armistice with the Allies inside Marshal Ferdinand Foch's railway carriage at Compiègne, France. The armistice was set to take effect at 11 a.m., but fighting continued until the very last moments. Just 1 minute before the ceasefire, at 10:59 a.m., American Private Henry Gunther was killed while charging a German machine gun position. He is often remembered as the last soldier killed in World War I. 3 days later, in East Africa, German General Paul von Leverbeck finally surrendered his forces at the Chambesy River. For 4 years, he had kept large numbers of Allied troops tied down, fighting successfully while cut off from Germany. He remains remembered as one of history's greatest guerrilla commanders. After the fighting ended, the Paris Peace Conference opened at the Palace of Versailles, near Paris. Leaders from victorious nations met to decide how to shape the post-war world. One major decision was to create the League of Nations, an international organization meant to prevent future wars. In June 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed. It placed harsh conditions on Germany. Germany's military was severely limited. It was forced to pay large war reparations, and it lost territory to neighboring countries. All of Germany's overseas colonies were taken by the victorious powers. Germany was also required to accept full responsibility for the war under the War Guilt Clause. This caused deep anger and resentment among the German people and would have serious consequences in the future. Across Europe, national borders were redrawn. Poland reappeared as an independent nation after more than 100 years of foreign rule. New countries such as Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and an enlarged Romania were created from the ruins of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The Ottoman Empire was dismantled, and many new states were created in the Middle East, mostly under European control. These arrangements, like those in Europe, planted the seeds of future conflict. In the Far East, former German territories in China were handed over to Japan, causing outrage and anger among the Chinese people. The human cost of World War I was enormous. Around 9.5 million soldiers were killed, about 1 in every 8 men who fought. Another 21 million soldiers were wounded, and about 7 million civilians also lost their lives. Huge areas of Europe were left destroyed and ruined. Old empires disappeared, new nations were born, and societies around the world were permanently changed. The world after World War I was never the same again.